You found Two in the Closet. We're two friends over 50 spill the tea, share the laughs, and talk about all the weird and wonderful and WTF moments of life. I'm Jen.
And I'm Beth, recording from a very real closet because it's the only place we sound this good. And because life's just better with great acoustics and a little secrecy. So shut the door, pour the wine, let's talk. I have been thinking a lot about rage lately. Not the kind that blows up at people in traffic or slams doors,
Right,
but
screaming type.
the quiet rage, the one that lives deep in the chest,
Mm.
waiting, kind of percolating. The one you don't even realize you've been carrying your whole life until one day you finally stop long enough to ask, where did this actually come from? Right?
That's such a powerful question because, and I know this started for you when you found that quote,
Uh-huh.
right? The one about rage being the love child of ancestral trauma, suffocated grief, and shame. I
Exactly.
remember you talking about
Yeah.
that.
Stopped me dead in my tracks. It felt like someone had just handed me a genealogy of my emotions. And I realized that rage isn't random. You know, this kind of rage that I'm talking
Right,
about. It has
right.
roots, it has bloodlines.
So, how did you go? What was the first time you went back? Like, what was it that you went back to?
Well, let me give a little backstory to the
Okay,
backstory. I
we
went,
need that.
yeah, so
Okay,
I went to a cacao ceremony and the theme was sacred rage. Now, I
okay,
had never been to one before. I know what cacao is, but I didn't really connect the sacred rage thing. And so it was an opportunity for us to write what we were angry about.
okay.
And that's where I heard that quote because I'm like, oh my God, that it didn't land with me that night, but the next morning it kind
You
of
were like,
cracked me
whoa.
open when I went back to look it up. Um, so in 2019, I did my ancestry and I found out things about my family that my family never told me about. Nothing salacious, yeah. But things like my mom's father. I knew that he died in a car accident when she was younger than a mother.
Right.
But she never said anything other than he died in a car accident. Well, when I looked up or my genealogy, I came across
Well, he wants to join in
yeah,
too.
what kind of trauma do you have? Um,
Apparently, he wants to talk about it.
I know, I know. Give it a voice, Colin. So anyway, I came across this article that talked about goodbye, um, the accident. And what actually happened was my mom was 5 or 6, my uncle was 6 or 7. They were very close in age. They were in the back seat of the car.
Mhm.
My grandparents were in the front. A tire blew, the car went off the road, and my grandfather's head literally impacted. And so this article is talking about little Mary and Edward Dewey walking hand in hand down the corridor of the hospital, not knowing if their parents were dead or alive because my grandmother was injured. And now I just remembered she always walked with a limp. And it's probably from that accident. I don't know because nobody talked about it, but her mom survived, but her father died and nobody ever talked about it. All I knew was
Wow. That's
my
like,
my grandfather died, but I did not know my sweet little baby mother, a young child witnessed it.
that's, that
That's
is,
trauma,
that's,
right?
that
And
trust
then
me.
and then in same ancestry, I find out that my father's dad died tragically. He was a general contractor in West Virginia and he was working on a Mack truck and had the engine out and something snapped and the engine landed on him and killed him instantly. Okay,
These are,
nobody ever told me that either.
these are tragic.
Yes. And then my mom's little brother, not the one that she was with in the hospital, but another little younger brother fell off a swing set at a relative's house and a couple days later died. Again, never spoken of.
Wow. This is a lot of unspoken
Trauma.
trauma.
Yeah. So it's only in the last few years that I realized I'm carrying all that silence in my body like it's mine,
Wow.
but I didn't know it.
Wow. That's, a lot of grief, unspoken
Yeah.
grief. And
Yeah.
you didn't even know most of those details until
Yeah.
recently, which
Until
is
I went like accidentally finding. So think about a lifetime of anxiety, tension, needing control.
Mhm.
And then I suddenly realized this isn't just me being me. It was the atmosphere that I was born into. And what's really weird is all of my life I have had this jolt of anxiety as I go through intersections in cars. Like I have a feeling, and I'm always constantly looking both ways. I feel like I'm going to get T-boned. And even though my grandfather wasn't T-boned,
right. It's
but it was a,
still the
yeah, that's symbolic of a
right.
car accident, in our minds. So in a way, my body knew the trauma, even
Mhm.
though my brain didn't.
It was like not connect it.
I didn't know,
Right.
but my body did. Your body doesn't lie. So your body
You
always knows.
felt something.
Yeah. Yeah. So it's like my nervous system carrying the memory that my family couldn't speak of, right?
That's
And that's ancestral trauma,
that's really,
generational trauma. Um,
really powerful.
yeah, emotion without language. So it lives in the silence and in the atmosphere. So think about kids growing up feeling what isn't said between their parents, right? um that's powerful because
Very
I
powerful.
know a lot of people who have stayed together for
Yep.
the kids know exactly what's going on.
They're very smart. They
Yeah.
know everything.
Yeah. And for me, rage would show up. I'm not an angry person, so it would show up as like a fire in my chest or belly. And when it flares, it's like a 9 alarm fire and heat, but it burns out really fast. It's
Right.
not something that I live in rage.
Right. Well, I
And
think we
it,
have moments of
yeah,
feeling that way. I know for me, and I didn't even think about this until you kind of brought the subject up, is when I feel that rage inside where it's not spoken, it literally, I feel like my chest is very tight, sweaty. Like I actually feel
yeah, your body feels it all. Yeah.
it's
Yeah.
like I become red in the face.
Hmm.
My eyes probably become a little like psycho a little bit
Yeah.
because I'm holding all this in.
Yeah. For me, it usually happens when I feel like a moment of injustice, not even toward me, but in general, the
Yep.
world at large, or helplessness. And then I think like that's my ancestor story in miniature
Mhm.
inside of me, right? Things happening that couldn't be controlled. That's
Right.
the injustice
Right.
part of it,
Right. Right.
right?
Right.
Like my grandfather did nothing wrong to have a tire blow off
No.
and him die
No.
and his family all be jeopardized, right?
That's awful.
That's injustice, that
Right.
somehow I'm carrying in my body. So, um, I think inherited rage can show up in a lot of ways,
Yep.
like people who grind their teeth, lots of jaw tension.
I
Um,
do.
yeah, but now it's like, is that really a habit, or is that
Nope.
really something that I need to look at?
Yeah,
Um,
absolutely.
chronic irritability, just always being irritated by everything, or suddenly crying and you don't know why. I mean, I've done that.
I've
Like,
done
I
that.
got sad. Why am
Right.
I
Why am I crying? What's wrong with
Yeah.
me?
And for others, it's silence. It's like a numb shutdown whenever you're in the middle of conflict, right? I don't like it. Yeah. So it's the same energy. It just shows up dressed differently.
Yeah, that's it's very interesting
Yeah.
because I didn't think about this until you
Yeah.
have
It
been talking
cracked
about
me
this.
open. And what I realized is we carry what our families didn't resolve. And again, sometimes it's just always saying, it's fine. I'm fine.
No, no one's fine when they say they're fine.
No, we know how we both feel about
Yeah,
I'm
yeah.
fine.
So I'm curious, how did growing up with that silence shape how that you saw love or safety or
Well, my mom's love language was acts of service.
okay.
She was always doing, and she was very loving, but she was not emotionally close. And I am just starting to understand the difference between those two things because I used to think they were one and the same.
Right.
Um, I knew she loved me, but she was not emotionally available to me. So she kept order, she provided. She didn't have the capacity for that really deep mom daughter intimacy, even like the passing down of wisdom or recipes or emotional language, how to navigate relationships.
How to navigate
She that wasn't there, but I get it.
because she wasn't taught.
She was raised by a single mom
Right.
who watched her husband's head practically implode
Right.
right in front of her and her little kids. She had no emotional roadmap.
Right. She didn't know.
She had to get to work to provide for her family.
So she
So
kept all
yeah,
this inside her.
so there was no time for tenderness. Plus, it was a generation where you had to pull yourself up by the bootstraps and
Right.
you know,
Put a smile on your face.
yeah. So love for my mom back then equaled survival, right?
Hmm.
Her mom loving her and providing for her, that was survival. So that's what my mom did.
Right.
And then I became the golden
Right.
child because my brother got into trouble a lot.
Right.
So I made sure I had straight A's and was just a yes person for
Right.
my mom and dad and to keep the peace.
Right. Keep the calm.
Yeah. And if I performed well enough, everyone stayed calm. But when I look back, I see that perfectionism is a nervous system strategy, right? That is how I protected myself. It was how I created control in a world that where chaos felt like it could strike us at any
Right.
time.
Right.
I never knew when the call was going to come about my brother, from school or doing whatever.
Right.
So I that was my one little thing that I could control.
That makes so much sense.
Yeah.
It's like you inherited both the silence and the responsibility to hold it all together.
Yeah.
And I think no, none of it, but I do think you carried it, and
Mhm.
as you'll I don't want to speak for
Yeah.
you, but
Yeah.
it travels.
Yeah. So I was the family emotional regulator, right? Keep everything on an even keel. And I carried that into adulthood. Even
Right.
now, I'm the mom of our group, right? I'm the one who's the capable one who gets, makes sure
I agree.
I know. And I'm okay. Like we're all capable, but I'm the
Right.
one who makes sure if we go on a trip that we have anything we could possibly need in that
That
24
is true.
hours, right? Yeah. And I'm the peacekeeper.
Right.
I discovered that recently in my job. Like I have been a peacekeeper where I
Yeah.
should not have been.
Right.
And I used to think it was a badge of honor, but now I see it's really exhaustion and trauma in disguise. And my need to fix things and to manage energy, it's love wearing armor, which landed for me.
I love that line, wearing armor. That's
Yeah.
going to land with a lot of people because I think a lot of people do that.
Yeah.
I know I do that, totally cover myself up. And again, I did not even think about this stuff until you brought this to my
Yeah.
attention. And I'm like, wait,
I
this,
too have trauma.
yes, I do. And
Yeah.
we will talk about it. But
Yeah. But saying it out loud really kind of gives it literally a voice, but it actually is the invitation to look at it, right? And so for me, that same armor shows up in romantic relationships
yep,
because my romantic relationships, I've had long-term ones, but then they get to a certain point emotionally where they just stall. Like there's no growth.
it's not going forward. It's not going backward.
It just
It's
is.
staying the same.
And I think that's because emotional intimacy for me feels like walking through that intersection, the one where my body tenses and I'm like, this is where something bad could
Right,
happen. So
right.
keep it safe, keep it surface level. I'm not like that in my friendships. In fact, that I'm the complete opposite. I want to go deep into everything,
Yeah.
but I guess I've never felt safe with a man
Say
to
that.
take it to the next level. And it's not a fear of love. It's
No,
what comes after
after.
love
Right,
when the loss inevitably comes because my body has learned that love is ultimately followed by tragic loss.
right,
And my body, I have to unlearn that,
right. Because
right?
that's not always
It's not true,
right.
but it has been so true for so many
Right.
people in
That's
my
right, right,
family
right.
that, oh my God. And then I think about, my dad died when I was 19, more trauma, right?
It's
My mom died when I was in Europe later on. Like I didn't even know she was dead till I got home.
Yeah, that all
You
of
know, like
all
trauma, trauma,
right.
trauma on top of trauma.
Yeah, all of that. And I think a lot of listeners will relate to what you've said, but even their families, they don't have, those exact
Right.
losses, but they've grown up around emotional, you know,
Scarcity.
yeah.
Yeah.
So around people who, had control and safety, and then you're like out on your own and
Yeah. And it might, that rage, when we talk about the rage, it's not like I'm angry all of the time because of
no,
this happened.
right,
It's like a simmering thing inside again that just kind of bubbles up a lot of times at inopportune moments. And now, even if obviously these aren't our listeners' stories, but if you just take a minute to go back and look at your family genealogy and history, like you will, especially our generation, because our parents and grandparents were in a harder time
right.
in the
Oh,
world, right? So they probably sucked up a lot more than, and they didn't talk about
no,
emotions.
no.
That's not unique to my family, right?
Me either. I didn't grow up and my mom was not really emotionally available. I mean, she
Yeah.
was there, but we didn't go deep. So rage, I think if we hold on to it for so long and it pops up, it's like
Yeah,
it
but
feels different sometimes, I think, than the
yeah,
normal just being upset.
of
It's like
course.
deep, 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 deep.
Yeah. And it can be like resentment,
Mm.
you know?
Oh yeah.
When nobody else pulls their weight, then I feel resentful. We've had that conversation before.
Yes, we have.
We're not here. This isn't therapy. Or being exhausted because you're always the strong one, right? Or that split second of panic when you feel somebody trying to get close. And for me, like,
Right. You put a wall up.
yeah, yeah, because love equals risk. Love, like the unlearning that is going to be my work, right? But rage is a messenger. And that's why I say if any of our listeners relate to this, your circumstances are different, but if you can tap into, oh yeah, there's trauma in my family and maybe I carry that somewhere in my body, that's sacred data for you. And something has been perhaps suppressed too long. And when you finally feel it without judging it, it becomes fuel for healing instead of destruction.
Exactly. And I have to say, piggyback on what you said, um, judging yourself and being harsh on yourself is just it's not productive. I mean, I do that. I've done that, and you just have to be gentle with yourself. I
So
think that's
is that a byproduct of trauma too?
I,
Could be,
I think
right?
so.
Yeah, because if you're,
Don't go. Don't.
yeah, don't do,
Yes.
yeah, yeah. So I think that's kind of where I am right now, that this rage that I couldn't identify or sometimes kind of scared me has now turned into something that clarifies. Like it's freeing to know that,
Oh,
oh, this
100%.
isn't mine.
No.
This is my
Right.
family's. And then I can start to heal,
Right.
right?
And that's where the healing starts, naming the silence
Hmm.
and letting yourself feel what the generations couldn't. We have an advantage that we could actually
Yeah.
feel and have a voice.
Yeah, and I think that part, letting yourself feel what your generations couldn't. Like they literally couldn't because
No.
they were in survival mode. I know the hard life that my mom and my dad grew up in. So I know that it was, you either keep your nose to the grindstone and you just plow through, or you don't make it,
Right.
you know? And I think that awareness is liberating, because for me, I feel just as I feel that trauma that isn't mine in my body, I also feel a liberation in my body when I realize that it's not all mine. So I can see the pattern and I can choose differently, and I can say this anxiety, this over responsibility, this tightness in
Yeah.
my chest, it's
Is
not
not
all mine.
I
It's
just
not
want
all mine.
I just want to say one thing because it relates to this. I witnessed actually, I think for the first time, what trauma looked like.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm going to just say the story really fast
Mm-hmm.
because I think it's important. But my mom had something happen to her when she was younger,
Mm-hmm.
and it happened to come up when we were at a place. There was kind of a scary looking person. He was acting very strange. It was very uncomfortable. I was even uncomfortable. And I saw something that was inside my mom come up when she was like 10 years old. And my
Wow.
mom's 76 right now.
Yeah.
And it was so emotional and so it has lived inside her for what 60 some years.
Yeah.
And she talked about it. She never talks about it with me or anyone. And it came up and she cried. And I think
Yeah.
it was a really healing.
Liberating.
Yeah. And never knew this because no
Yeah.
one talks about it.
Yeah. You're so lucky that you still have her here that you can
Yeah.
actually inquire, whether or not she wants to open up or not. But when you find out
Oh,
years after they're dead and
yeah.
gone, it's like, come on, you guys. Come on.
But that's,
But
but,
that's the way it was.
it's like
Yeah.
deep, deep, deep.
Yeah. So, like I said, if somebody's listening and they're carrying that kind of trauma, let's start working on releasing. So you start with curiosity. You don't blame yourself or anybody else.
Right.
But I would love for listeners to chime in on this. Like, what did your family never talk about? Where was love withheld or controlled? And then pay attention to where you feel that in your body. Notice where you tense up or where you overcompensate. I do that a lot, where you rush
Gotcha.
to keep peace.
Hmm.
That's kind of the map of your lineage.
Yep.
Like you can trace it back. I know I can. I know I can.
That's such a great way to begin.
Yeah.
Just noticing, simple noticing.
Yeah,
That's
because
all.
noticing is how the silence finally breaks. And once you can name what was unspoken, you're no longer reliving it, you're rewriting it, which is healing.
Very healing.
And that's where we're going to pick up next time
Oh, I can't
because
wait.
we're going to do a part two on this
Yeah.
because this is the part where rage becomes release, where silence turns to voice, and where we learn what it actually means to feel safe being seen.
Can't wait.
Yeah.
So this is such a powerful beginning, and thank you for opening the door for us.
It's time. The silence has had more than enough of its own turn, and now it's our turn to speak. So until next time, make sure you tune in.
Stay tuned.
Yes, I'm Beth.
I'm Jennifer,
This is Two in the Closet.
and we'll see you soon.
And I'm gonna
And she's going to choke.
and I'm gonna choke on my own words. Anyway, stay tuned for part two. Thanks for hanging out with us in the closet. I'm Beth.
And I'm Jen.
And this has been Two in the Closet, your place for laughs, real talk, and maybe a little oversharing. Make sure to follow or subscribe so you never miss an episode. And if you like what you heard, leave us a review. It helps more women find the closet.
Until next time, keep the door closed and the conversations going.